Hello, amazing leaders, friends, and family. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And it's always a pleasure to be here with you. I'm happy always to see you. If you are new, this is your first time to be here, let me introduce myself. My name is Essie Daniel, and this is Leaders Connect Limited. We are based in Nairobi, Westlands, and at Leaders Connect, we are passionate about one thing. That is empowering leaders, equipping teams, transforming workplaces, because leadership is all about influence. And influence begins with how we communicate. So if you're ready to grow as a leader, as a spouse, as a parent, as a teacher, as a member, as a business person, you are in the right place. So today's message is one of the most powerful communication lessons I've ever learned. And I promise you, if you apply this one principle in your relationship, in your negotiations, in leadership, it will change the way people listen to you. And today's lesson is, you must never disagree. Now, I know what you're thinking. Essie, never disagree? So, what do you do when someone wrongs you? What do I do when someone is being unfair? Or what do I do when I have all the facts, all the evidence, the receipts, the screenshots? This is not about becoming weak. It's not about being fake. It's not about pretending you don't have an opinion. It's about learning how to win conversations without losing people. I said it. Don't win a conversation and lose people. Because the truth is, you can be correct and still be disconnected. You can win the argument and lose the relationship. You can win the argument and lose the friendship. And so today, I want to show you how to communicate in a way that makes people stay open and not defensive, not shut down, not angry, not resistant. This law will make you a master of communication, a master of negotiation, a master of conflict resolution, a master of persuasion. So, are you excited as I am? Let's dive in. So, why is it that most arguments never work? Why is it that most arguments never work? Let's start with something we all know, that most arguments are not productive, period. You see, have you ever argued with someone, and even when you made a strong point, they still refused to understand you? You explained it clearly. You even gave examples, but the person became more defensive, more stubborn, or even said, I disagree. And then guess what? Immediately, you could feel the mood shift. Their face changed. Their tone changed. Their energy changed. And suddenly, it wasn't even about the topic anymore. It became about ego, pride, proving a point, and winning. We've all been there, right? You've been there, I've been there. I've been there several times. And if we can be honest, most of us don't even want to be understood. We just want to be right. But leadership is not about being right. Leadership is about being effective. Leadership is about being effective. So here's the truth. In every interpersonal conflict in your life, be it a marriage or a business conflict or a friendship or a family, communication is both the problem and the solution. You had that right. It's both the problem and the solution. And here is the key statement from the book, The Diary of a CEO. Healthy conflicts strengthens relationships because people are working against a problem. Unhealthy conflict weakens relationships because people are working towards, or rather people are working against each other. And I want to repeat that. Healthy conflict is you and me versus the issue. Unhealthy conflict is me versus you. And so here's the question. When you disagree with a person, are you fighting the problem or are you fighting the person? Because the moment it becomes personal, you lose the influence. And remember, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So are you going to win an argument and lose a relationship or a friendship? And see, the science behind why I disagree fails. And now this is the part that is so interesting, because it's not just an opinion, it is science. You see, our good book here shares research from neuroscience, and it explains what happens in the brain during a disagreement. They both studied people in pairs, and they asked them to do a financial evaluation. And when they recorded the brain activity, this is what they found. They found that when people disagree, their brains literally become open. More and more open. They become more receptive. They become more engaged. But when they disagree, their brains seem to freeze and to shut down. What does that mean? That when someone feels opposed, their mind stops listening. They stop receiving your logic. They stop valuing your opinion, even if you are correct. And so if you're trying to convince someone to buy something, or someone to agree with you or to buy your idea, and you open with a disagreement, you are basically shutting their brain before you even speak. And that is why some conversations never go anywhere, because the brain is already closed. The book says something so powerful, that if you want to keep someone's brain lit and receptive to your point of view, you must not start your response with a statement of disagreement. Whew. That is leadership right there, right? So the next time you want to correct someone, remember, your goal is not to win the moment. Your goal is to win their mind. Your goal is not to win the moment, but your goal is to win the mind. Now let's look at the big rule. What is this big rule? Never start with "you are wrong." Never start with "you are wrong." Let's make this practical. You see, this law does not mean you cannot disagree internally. It just means that never start your response with words like "I disagree," or "you are wrong," or "that's not true," or "no, that's not how it is," or "stop it," or "you don't know what you're talking about." You see, the moment you start your conversation like that, people or the person is no longer listening to you. They are busy coming up with a defense mechanism. They are busy coming up with how they'll defend themselves. And when people are defending, they are not learning. They are not receiving. They are not growing. They are not listening. So what do we do instead? We start with what we agree on. We start with a common ground. We start with what can we understand. We start with respect. Because the strength of your argument will not be recognized if you open with a disagreement. Even if you have evidence this big, even if you are objectively correct, it won't work. And that's why you can be corrected, but still, you can be correct, but still not heard. So what do you say instead? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to me, this will save you. Let me give you better phrases that you can use. So instead of saying, "I disagree," you can say something like, "I hear you." You can say something like, "That makes sense." You can say something like, "I understand your point," or "You're right about that part," or "I can see why you feel that way," or "We actually want the same thing." Then you can gently add your point. "Can I offer you another perspective?" Or "Let's look at it from another angle," or "What if we tried this approach?" Or you can say something like, I agree with the goal, I just don't think the method could be different. Or you could say something like, do you see the difference? You see, one opens the door and the other one slams it shut. And that is why the book says that our words should be bridges to comprehension and not barriers to connection. What does that mean? In simple terms, disagree less and agree more. And that is the right leadership. And that is a parenting quote. That is a workplace quote. So let's look at how this shows up in real life. Let's talk real life. We'll start with marriage. Your spouse says something like, you never helped me. Your first instinct is to defend yourself, right? You say something like, that is not true. That is not true. But if you start there, the fight has already begun. But you know what? You could actually say this instead. I hear you. I can see you're overwhelmed. I don't want you to feel alone. Tell me what support you would like me to give you this week. Now, do you see what happened there? You've just turned the conflict into a connection. Let me give you an example. Leadership at work. Your team member says, this plan won't work. And we've heard this so many times, this plan won't work. So instead of you're wrong, we already decided, you could try a valid concern. You could say that's a valid reason, that's a valid concern, and I'm glad you brought it up. What part feels more risky to you? See, now that you've built a psychological safety right there, and you've kept the brain open. How about with clients and negotiation? A client will say something like, oh, that price is too high. Instead of, no, this is the price. You could try and say, I understand budget matters. Let's look at the value and see what options best work for you. You see, that is negotiation. That is influence. That is maturity. And see, that's why the law, or this law, is so powerful. This law will make you very powerful. Let me tell you what happens when you stop disagreeing first. You become the person that people feel safe around. You become a leader people can talk to. You become a negotiator who gets the results. You become a communicator who is respected. You become a peacemaker without being persuasive. Because this law is not weakness, it's wisdom. And this law will help you become an effective negotiator. It will help you become a better speaker, a better salesperson, a business leader, a writer, or even a better parent or a better partner. Why? Because the best communicators don't just speak, they listen. And the best leaders don't just correct, instead they connect. So that is what will set you apart. So here is a Leaders Connect challenge. Now let's make it fun. I want to give you a challenge. And if you do it for 7 days, your relationship or your friendship will shift. Here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, do not start any response with I disagree, you are wrong, no, that's not true. It's just a 7-day challenge. And instead, start with one of these statements. Say something like, I hear you. That makes sense. I understand. I agree with part of that, or that's a good point. Then from there, share your perspective and do it calmly, very calmly. And I want you to come back and tell me how it changed your conversations. Did people listen more? Did arguments reduce? Did you feel more at peace? Because I promise you, this is one of the fastest ways to grow your influence. I'll say it again. This is one of the fastest way to grow your influence. So that's your 7-day challenge. Let's look at our final takeaway. I want to leave you with this. You don't need to raise your voice to raise your influence. You don't need to argue to be heard. You don't need to win every moment. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause, breathe, and choose connection over correction. Because leadership is not about proving, it's about improving. So today's lesson is very, very simple. Disagree less and understand more. Okay? Disagree less and understand more. Don't win an argument and lose a friendship. Don't win an argument and lose a relationship or lose a customer. So if this message has blessed you or it has touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to start agreeing with you more. If you're ready to grow in leadership, communication, confidence, and influence, this is exactly what we do here at Leaders Connect. We equip leaders, we train teams, we mentor professionals just like you, and we help people lead with excellence. So please do these 3 things for me. 1, like this video. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss our leadership lessons. And then in the comment section, I want you to affirm with me that my words are bridges and not barriers. Okay? Affirm in the comment section, my words are bridges and not barriers. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.